Good afternoon. Safety investigators are trying to figure out what went wrong during a near miss at Sydney Airport last week when two passenger planes almost collided on the runway. The boss of Air Services Australia spoke exclusively to Clementine Cuneo.
Good afternoon. The boss of Air Services has spoken to us today, saying safety is their top priority after a near miss here at Sydney Airport last week, which could have been catastrophic. Speaking ahead of an aviation summit at the Star Casino, Rob Sharp said a full investigation was underway into what happened on July 27.
We're obviously aware of it, and safety is number one for us, and we have a well-honed safety management system, including a specific fatigue management system. That's actually quite a small portion of our shifts would be deemed to be fatiguing. We take any incident seriously. We have well-honed protocols to look at the staff, how we handle them. We support our staff as well through any particular incident. But as I said, we'll wait for the findings.
A communication breakdown is understood to be behind two Qantas planes almost colliding on a runway. One was given the OK to taxi to the terminal, crossing the path of another jet landing. No one was injured, but the Australian Transport Safety Bureau has launched a full investigation.
We do know that there has been some significant stresses on the entire ecosystem. Our job is to understand whether any of those stresses played a role in what occurred last Monday. Thank God that both of those aircraft did stop prior to getting to that, that sort of intersection point. The potential for something far worse is certainly there.
We'll have the full story for you tonight in our bulletin at 6 p.m.
Clementine Cuneo with those exclusive details there. A man has been stabbed outside a shopping centre in Lalor Park in Sydney's west. His alleged attacker quickly taking off, but he couldn't hide for long. Nick Overall has the details.
Police swarmed the shopping centre here along Commercial Road in Lalor Park at 11:15 this morning, where they found a man with multiple stab wounds. It's understood a fight had broken out between two men just outside some of the businesses here. A 53-year-old was stabbed in the back of the neck. He rushed into a barber shop where staff helped him. Police and ambulance crews arrived soon after to provide first aid. CCTV captures a man walking away from the scene seconds after the stabbing. He was heading towards a block of units across the road from the shopping centre. Tactical officers surrounded that building soon after. They were searching units for around 3 hours. A 38-year-old man was eventually hauled out from one of the apartments and arrested. He's been taken to Blacktown Police Station, where he's being questioned.
Police responded very quickly to the incident and were able to seal the area, establish a crime scene and also arrest the 38-year-old man. Police have seized a number of exhibits and they'll be examined as part of the investigation.
I saw the helicopters hovering around my house and this area around the housing unit, and then I saw them coming and they were looking for someone. I could hear them say, like, open the door and stuff like that.
The 53-year-old was transported to Westmead Hospital, where he's in a serious but stable condition. We'll have more details for you in the news at 6 tonight.
Thank you, Nick. Veteran broadcaster Alan Jones was back in court for the fourth day of his judge-alone trial, but evidence from one of the 6 complainants remains secret. Complainant Jay was cross-examined by Jones's defence team, but a non-publication order remains in place. The trial is expected to run for 2 months. Pauline Hanson says she doesn't care if her proposed cuts to permanent migration impact Australian businesses. The Queensland Senator claims One Nation is living rent-free in Tony Burke's head after his decision to delay a major policy speech on immigration. Political reporter Jasmine Turlings has more.
The Home Affairs Minister was due to deliver that speech here in Canberra today, outlining the government's reforms to meet its net overseas migration targets. But even without that policy detail, Labor's proposed plans to slash arrival numbers has raised concern with business groups, claiming a move to deter skilled migrants would hurt the economy. But One Nation leader Pauline Hanson has a different take.
Whether, it's going to affect their businesses, they're not going to sell that many products, or the universities, because they won't have the number of foreign students coming in here. I don't care.
Migration obviously plays a really significant part in our economy, but it needs to happen at a sustainable rate, and that's why we put in place the policies that we've done.
Those policies include a 70-30 split of the permanent migration places, the majority of those giving priority to people already on shore through other visas, reducing the program's impact on net overseas migration. And we should have had further detail today, but instead Tony Burke's office said the decision to delay the speech was due to some elements not being finalised.
This does smack of politics. They've realised that there is a problem. They've realised that Australians are fed up with a migration system that does not serve our country's needs.
The government says the minister plans to deliver that speech at the next available date.
Thank you, Jasmine. The youngest brother of former Premier Dominic Perrottet has told a corruption inquiry he was paid $5,000 a month, but he can't remember what for. In his second day in the witness box, Jean-Claude Perrottet said he couldn't recall why he was receiving payments from a lobbying firm.
If it were large amounts of money, you would remember.
Yeah, if it was, I guess if it was a lot of money, I don't know. I mean, I'm telling you now that I don't remember.
The ICAC is investigating illegal donations made to the Liberal Party by a rogue group of Conservatives nicknamed the Reformers. Overseas now, and there has been a horrific stabbing rampage in London's famous West End district. A woman is in custody accused of attacking 4 men with a pair of scissors. Our correspondent Isabel Mullen has more from the UK.
Well, really disturbing scenes out of the centre of London today at Covent Garden, a busy tourist hotspot where a woman was allegedly seen attempting to stab people at random with a large pair of scissors. She did stab 4 men aged between 34 and 52 before 2 men from nearby businesses left their shops, coming out to hold her arms back before authorities arrived. Now, police have reassured members of the public that this was a random attack. It wasn't targeted and it is being treated as a mental health incident. Those 4 men, they were hospitalised. 2 have already been released from hospital. The other 2, thankfully, they aren't being treated for life-threatening injuries.
Thank you, Izzy. The AFL has made a secret deal with a player for him to assume all legal responsibility for any future brain injuries. As Blake Johnson explains, there is fierce backlash against the agreement.
The unnamed player will legally go it alone. A terrible decision, say concussion experts and a former AFL player who has permanent brain damage from his own concussion. It's not clear if this player pushed for the waiver or the club, but he's believed to be at higher risk due to previous head knocks.
I was stunned and then appalled to hear that a player who's in a vulnerable state would sign a waiver to protect the club from any potential litigations, given what we know now about long-term brain health and the effects of repetitive concussions.